Hi everyone, it's Joe. So I was gonna talk to you guys about I was actually gonna do an Ipsy unbagging, but it said it was delivered and it never was. So I contacted the people at Ipsy and they're sending me a replacement bag. So hopefully that video will be next week. But no promises. Um, so there's actually something kind of serious I wanted to talk about. And this wasn't recommended on my channel, and it was recommended through a friend of mine. We were talking, and I was talking about my heritage and my childhood, and he said, why don't you do a video on it? Because I know a lot of people have gone through the same things you have and don't have the courage to talk about it. And so guess that's what I'm doing today. I'm gonna try and keep it upbeat, but this, fair warning, this can get kind of depressing. But yeah, here we go. So it doesn't really seem like it, but I am Hawaiian and Portuguese in heritage, and so these are two very big proud cultures. But I grew up in pretty much the whitest place on earth. I shouldn't say that. It's like the whitest place in the Pacific Northwest. And it was kind of rough growing up because of my skin. I was darker than I am, especially than I am now. And I know that a lot of you are going to be watching this and going like, why are you talking about race? You're just another white kid. And that's totally fair to say that, but as a child, I experienced a lot in the way of racism, and it's definitely not nearly as bad as anyone who has experienced physical abuse because of their racism, who's experienced anything like that. And I'm going to put that out there now. I'm definitely not saying that I've had it that bad. There have been incidents and they were upsetting, but they're not that bad when it comes to racism. When you think about all of the things that people have had to experience because of their race, when it comes down to African American people who have been killed because of their race, mine is definitely not bad. But I do fight and stand up for people, especially in incidents of racism that I see. And I guess that's why I've just decided to talk about it. It was actually recommended because I was being a bit of a bitch about something. Actually, I'll just go into that story before I start back on why I feel so strongly about everything. So I have a friend of mine who is a Korean guy, and he's really, really nice. He's a real sweetheart, usually. I mean, he's very analytical, and you have to kind of get to know him, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so me, him, and this other girl, a lovely, not so great little white girl who loves to stand on her soapbox and shout from the mountain over people who actually have experienced racism, and loves to just kind of talk about stuff like that. And again, it's gonna seem like I'm trying to do the same thing, but I promise this isn't about that. I don't believe in talking over anybody. I usually wouldn't share my experiences because they are so minor that it doesn't seem that bad. Back to the story, because I keep getting sidetracked. Anyway, we were having discussion on feminism and its effect, and my friend, my Korean friend, said something to the effect of third wave. I'm not gonna put. He said modern feminism, in essence, is white woman feminism, and doesn't tend to help those that are people of color. And she rebutted by saying, shut up, "You know nothing, you're just a white man." And I proceeded to scream at her for the next couple of minutes. Because he visibly shows his race, and she accepts that I am a person of color because I, heritage speaking, am. But I look white, and I understand that, and I accept that, and I accept that I have a lot of white privilege because of the way I am. And I got kind of steamed. I was like, how can you accept my heritage and consider me a person of color, but you don't consider him, who visibly wears his race every day, just because he's pale? No. I got very upset very quickly. Okay, now to backpedal to my childhood and explain why I got so upset. So, as a child, I had very, very dark skin and dark hair, and because I lived with my father most of the time, he still had a Hawaiian accent, I had picked it up, because you know how kids are, they're sponges. Even living in like the whitest culture ever, I still picked up the Hawaiian accent from him. And so going to school was rough. I went to a private school, and so, which was really hard because there was like one other person of color there. And so being a dark-skinned kid, and I know a lot of you are going to be like, dark skin, but you're so pale now. How do you explain that? I'll get there, I promise. Anyway, so going to a public school when you have dark skin, dark hair, and an accent is rough. I had no friends for years because everyone would tell me that I talked wrong, that I sounded bad, that I sounded stupid, that I looked wrong. And it stuck with me. As a child, I would come home crying to my mom because my mom is Germanic in descent, which is also a reason that I have somewhat of a fair skin tone right now. But the other reason will come in just a few seconds. I'd come home crying to my mom, telling her that I wanted to look like her and not like my dad, because my dad is Hawaiian Portuguese, my mom's Germanic in descent, and so my brother got blue eyes and light brown hair, and and very pale, and I got green eyes, dark hair, darker skin, and for years it weighed on me. And when I was about 5, I decided to start doing something about it, in the sense that, like, I wore long sleeves all year round and pants instead of shorts in summer. I gave myself heat-related problems because I wouldn't take off my sweatshirt because I didn't want to tan. I didn't want to have dark skin. I would wear a baseball cap so that my face was completely covered, and sunscreen all the time. And after a couple of years, I was pale. And I took so much time on my own watching, believe it or not, sitcoms to learn how to speak like everyone else. And that's really hard to admit now that I've become one of those people who is very much like a part of their culture and very much has that like love for their heritage. It's hard to say that I spent years changing myself because I didn't want to be outcast anymore. So I spent years hiding, and eventually I became pale. And when I was about 12, my mom decided to start letting me wear makeup. And I actually have the first makeup I ever got, which was the shade Classic Beige from the old CoverGirl brand, and it is about 3 shades lighter than my skin tone. and I would basically cake that stuff on my face because I didn't want anyone seeing how it actually looks, which is also one of the reasons that I'm not wearing makeup today. It's because I wanted you guys to see. Actually, it's really bright and shiny. Can I get any sort of... There we go. I wanted you guys to see what I've done to my skin. So, because of what I did to my skin, I paled it out so much. There's hyperpigmentation under my eyes and veins that show through. I have dark spots all on my forehead that I've been constantly trying to cover, and it is very, very difficult for me to still accept this. Like, this is who I am, that I have darker skin, and I will never be able to get my accent back, and I understand that. But the least that I can do is actually start to look like I'm my culture and not hide behind this fake whiteness that I've tried to create over the years. And the reason it works so well is if I was 100% Hawaiian Portuguese, this wouldn't have worked really at all for me, right? I would still have dark skin tone, but because of the fact that my mom's Germanic genes were mixed in, I was able to make myself really, really pale. Which, it's still rough, sitting here knowing that I have essentially lied about my culture and lied about my heritage for years because I was afraid. And it's one of the reasons that I care so much is, like, up until the age of 5, well, actually, and beyond that, I really was I was about the same paleness that I am now, around age 8-ish. And so, there was a lot of things that I had experienced, and it wasn't just in school. I would go swimming at the lake, and I would be told to go back to where I came from, and I would be told that I didn't look like all the rest of the kids, and kids would run away from me because I wasn't like them. And that's just really rough growing up. And I know it's not nearly as bad as half of the things that other people have gone through. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I've tried to become such an advocate for it, and tried to become such an advocate for, like, people of color being I don't want to say accepted, because they are accepted, but not by everyone, if that makes sense. I mean, like, it's why I've become such an advocate for fighting back against racism. There we go. That's what I mean. Words. But, like, I really encourage people to stand up for those they see experiencing racism, even if you're a white person. And that doesn't mean you get a step on what the person of color has to say about their racism and their experiences with racism. It just means that, like, if you see something going down, say something, do something, fight. But it means that also people of color have to watch out for each other, and there can't be this just backhanded racism from everyone. Because I know quite a few people who are like, oh, we might have it bad, but, like, not as bad as those people, and then they go and make derogatory... and they go and say just, like, really hateful things about other cultures. It's just rough hearing that from people who know what it's like to experience that, and then go around and flip it and try and hurt other people with that. I mean, that's what doesn't make sense to me. Like, out of all the things you could be doing with your experiences, fighting for good, you want to flip it around and try and hurt others? I mean, and I'm not saying that that's everyone, and I know that that's going to get some hate right there, because that was really poorly worded, if that makes sense. But it's just something I've noticed. And I can't stay silent about it, because it does it doesn't affect me so much anymore because I do have a lot of white privilege, and I have to understand that, right? I can't go around being like, you can't call me white because I look white, because that's not what I am. I mean, I'd appreciate it if you didn't call me a white kid because I'm Hawaiian Portuguese. I'm mixed race, technically, if you want to get down to it. But I understand when people call me a white kid because, I mean, look at me. I'm pale as shit. Anyway, this whole video is more just to bring awareness to the fact that, like, even people who don't experience racism need to stand up and say something when they see it happening. Being silent means agreeing with the people who are harming others. And I know it doesn't seem that way. You might think that you're a good person just standing there because it's not your business. But it means that you're seeing and you're acknowledging what's going on, and you're staying silent. Don't be silent about it. Stand up. Fight for someone. Alright, that's all I had to say on this topic. And I'm sorry for it being so depressing, but next week's video will hopefully be an Ipsy glam bag unbagging. Unbagging? It's a bag. Unboxing? I'm gonna be opening an Ipsy glam bag if I get it by next Friday. Saturday? What day is it? I think it's Saturday. Alright, so you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and love each other. And just be kind and caring and helpful. Alright, I've prattled on long enough. I'm gonna stop it here. See you all next week. Bye. Oh damn it, this thing won't ever close. Stop, damn you.